Yo, today we're talking about the whole idea of showing up. Let me stay right here. How do we audition? How do we always focus on the fact that we're always auditioning? I don't know if you know this, but someone is always watching you. So we got to be prepared. So today I brought to the studio Edna Bland. And I'm saying it very calmly because I'm going to let her blow up her stories because they're exciting, they're great. But Edna, she's an entrepreneur, professional puppeteer, a professor, an educator. Listen, when you hear her stories, get ready. Get ready. You're going to learn what it's like to show up because people are ready. They're waiting. They're waiting for you. Let's get started. Edna. Yo.
Hi.
We're here.
We are here.
Yeah. I was excited the first time I met you. I listened across the room as you spoke and you talk so much about showmanship. Like when we have to show up, we have to be prepared.
Yes.
You were in the music industry before. You worked at Sesame Street. Go.
I come from an arts type family, and I also come from some educators too. So what better way to combine both and be an arts educator, a music educator. So I originally went to college first to be a music educator, and but I got crazy stage fright. Going up in school, I was perfectly fine, but I had crazy stage fright when I got to college for some reason. And there were times where we had to sing in front of the entire music department, and I would freeze up. I know about stage fright with sweaty palms and the sweat and all that kind of stuff. And finally, my dear friend, an accompanist, sat me down and he said, Edna, you can't do this. And you would think, that reverse psychology, you go, yeah, I
could do this.
I could do this. And I said, yeah, you're right. No, I can't do this.
Wrong response.
But, well, it was kind of like the reality of, I thought I can do it. And, and it's good. It's good for some people. But then there has to be some form of reality of am I
really cut out for this?
Am I really cut out for this?
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was my, eye-opening, yeah, no, you're not really, cut out. So I go home on a spring break. I meet a friend, and he said, there's a school that you can go to. It's Five Towns College. That's still there in New York. Wow. That you can combine the music and business together, and you can hang out with celebrities. And I was like, oh, that sounds like fun, exciting.
Which part, the school part or hanging out with the celebrities?
Of course, hanging out with the celebrities.
Okay, of course. Got it.
So, but then once I got into the school, I just dived into 200%. I learned that when I absolutely love something, nothing can stop me. And I'm just going into it 200%. And I started doing what was called informational interviews, where I would just call up different record companies and directors or execs and hi, my name is Edna. I'm a music business student. Can I come talk to you about the music business? And you'd be surprised. This was the 80s, but you'd be surprised that the door was open. They're like, sure, come on in. And it was 15 minutes. I had my index card, so I was totally prepared.
Right.
And if they wanted to talk longer than 15 minutes, that was on them.
Right. But you were there 15, for the 15.
I was 15. Thank you very much. But the last question you always ask is there anyone else that you can I can talk to?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Plus, not knowing it was an audition, an interview, because this person is going, wow, here's somebody who's interested in our business and what we're doing.
Yes.
So, let me keep this person in mind for a future job.
Yes.
But also, I kind of connected some people with those companies. So even if I didn't work at the company, I was connecting other people to work at those companies.
Wait, stay right there, please, real quick. The reason why I'm so passionate about I'm saying yes so much is because I've had these encounters where I've gone in just being curious about the other individual, so much so that they were like, yo, would you like to work here? I'm like, no, I'm running my own business. I have to do my own thing. But my questioning were ones that perked their interest. So I'm glad that what you're saying, like you had that same experience also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like I said, even if it didn't work for me, it might have worked out for some other people.
Right.
Until I went to my fit. And my internship was at Capitol EMI Records at that time, in the publicity department, and also in A&R, where at that time people would solicit, they would bring in their unsolicited tapes.
Here's my mixtape.
Mixtapes,
Right.
Well, demos.
Right.
And that was our job to listen to them. As interns, one of our jobs, on the A&R side. Yeah. I also tried to bring some acts in, of people that I knew. I mean, this is New York City in the 80s. Yeah. It was a ball. I had a ball. It was awesome. I bet. And then the publicity side was, helping to get people radio, television interviews, newspaper clippings, all that kind of fun stuff. And I had a woman who worked there. She was my, I called her my music business mom. Okay. And I never forgot the advice that she gave me. She's like, if you want to make it in this business, you got two options. You're either going to work for it or sleep for it. Choose which one you want to do.
You're going to work for it or sleep for it. Like you're going to sacrifice something.
Yeah, exactly. So I chose the work for it.
Okay.
And I did. And remember I said I dive into something 200%.
Yeah.
And I worked my tail off. I did extra hours. Now, I'm living on Long Island, commuting into New York City, still going to school during the day. I worked at a record store. Yes, people, a record store.
Yeah.
In the mall at night. Okay. And they did exist, exactly. And doing all of this. But it's like I wanted it so bad.
And you were interning. I don't want to miss that too.
Yeah. I was an intern, not being paid.
So there's value in becoming an intern.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You gotta pay your dues, and your internship is you paying your dues.
Yeah.
And there were one time where they were it was located on the 15th floor, and the elevators were broken, and I walked up the 15th flight of stairs just to get to where I'm going.
200%.
And there was a time where it was like, horrible, nor'easter snowstorm in New York City. I still got on that train, which is an hour ride to Manhattan into New York City.
And walked those
in the subways and in the snow and all that kind of stuff. I did, I did what I was supposed to do. There was those stories of the rock stars who wanted specific foods and things. And yes, I walked or did what I needed to do to get them what they wanted.
Yeah.
But that's part of you paying your dues.
Your dues, yeah. Do you think that people are willing to become interns and pay that kind of dues or those types of dues when they fully, they feel as though this is where I want to be? Because some people might be curious. They're still looking, still trying to figure out life. They don't know what they want to do. And they may say, I don't want to be an intern. That's beneath me. What do you say to that?
Oh, no. To be an intern, I mean, you got to learn every day. You cannot not stop learning. And so I've encountered some students, that I've trained interns that would say, basically it's like, what can you do for me? And I was like, no. And I know it sounds like your grandparents who are like, I walked 20 miles on the snow with no shoes on, so ways, for me to talk about the 15 flights of stairs and stuff like that. But I'm like, they needed to know, guys, I had to pay my dues too, and so do you. It's not going to be handed to you.
Now, even when you've paid your dues, sometimes people just show up and say, you know what, you're not needed here anymore. I mean, that's not a good feeling. And
it's a horrible feeling.
Yeah, and that could probably make people feel as though that, you see, I should have never done this. I should have gotten paid. They didn't see my value. I mean, how was your story different?
It's a mindset. It's a mindset of everything that you do is an experience, and you take away, if it's positive or negative, what have I learned from this experience? And what have I learned that can take me to the next level?
Yeah.
Right? Glory to glory, next level to next level.
So you should always be thinking.
Always be thinking. I have my CV, curriculum vitae, right?
Okay.
My CV, and I constantly keep updating it. Now, I've been at my current job for 10 years, but I'm still, every time I do a show, every time I do that, I'm updating it.
Yeah.
Why? Because, well, you never know what experience, situation what comes next.
Yeah.
But it's also a good record, too, to look back.
And say, this is what I've accomplished.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And my CV's up to 12 pages right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
12 pages.
You've been diligent and disciplined.
And when you look back at again, I finished it the other day, and I was like, "Holy smoke! Like, okay, I've done this stuff." You know, because sometimes when you're just looking forward, you just moving forward. You don't. Yeah, you forget.
Mm-hmm. Just yesterday, I submitted. I say submitted, but I had written my vision, my vivid vision, in 2018, May of 2018. And I've gotten some new employees most recently, and I was going through my notes and I saw it and I was like, let me see what I've accomplished through this. And it was really cool to go back and see, like, you said you were going to do this.
Yeah.
I wasn't being mindful of executing on that thing, but I was moving forward. And things are just being accomplished, written off the list, and I shared it with my team today to tell them, like, hey, this is how I was thinking in 2018. Mm-hmm. Here's where you fit into that puzzle. Like, let's write it again for the next 3 years. So what I'm hearing you saying is documenting your journey.
Yes.
Where you want to go and what you've accomplished is important.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because sometimes you get into certain situations and you're like, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to look? And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. I already done this. It's okay. I'll make it. Yeah. I can make it. I've been there before. So yeah, it's good to document and stuff like that and prepare yourself and, for the next level. Absolutely. I didn't have a mission or vision statement, going into the entertainment business in my 20s and the 80s. Yeah. It was a drive. It was a passion.
Talk to me about that.
I even specifically remember being on a crosstown bus in Manhattan, listening to music in my Walkman.
That's right. There was a Walkman.
Might have been a Discman at that too.
Hey, Google it, okay?
And I said to myself, oh my gosh, if I didn't do this stuff, I would die. And I know that's so dramatic,
yep. Mm-hmm.
But that was how passionate I was. Like, if I did not do the arts, it's so much part of me that there's no other, like, oh, maybe I can get into that other profession or something like that. There was nothing else I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it's either you're going to dive right into it or not, no matter what.
When people talk about the arts, it seems to be so broad. And sometimes people say, well, I can never create a career out of that. Like that, I won't be able to make money with this. I won't be able to make money with that. Your journey has taken so many different turns, but you were still connected to the arts.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. How do you help someone to broaden their spectrum on their journey? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where they just don't stay so focused that they don't see like what's going on right around them that will allow them to really expand.
I think it's more so of thinking outside the box. And like you said, the arts are so broad that sometimes people just think I can only, work on television, work in this or work in that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, especially right now with everything so virtual, that there's so many things you can do. It's like, or someone's like, I love the arts. I was talking to a kid the other day who he was saying, I love to sing in choir and this and that and music and play an instrument, but I want to go to college to be a lawyer. Well, you can go and be an entertainment lawyer. Clive Davis, I just watched his documentary the other day. And that's another good thing to do, watch documentaries on
Is
people
that on
who have already...
Netflix? Or? Okay.
Yeah. And he started off as a lawyer. And he was just assigned into the, music side of things. Yeah. He didn't know anything about music, but then he discovered that he had this natural talent of bringing songs and artists together and created hit after hit after hit.
Check that out.
And so it's kind of like, it's just the fact that you just got to have that passion, that drawn thing, and think a little bit of outside the box of like, how can I combine this and that? That's why I said it's good to talk to other people.
Yeah.
To network.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
when I think about Clive Davis, and you talked about his becoming a lawyer, or he was an attorney, and then he saw how to bring these two entities together. Mm-hmm. When you bring them together, you still need an attorney to be able to draft the documents for them to work well together. So he was kind of like the right guy.
Oh, absolutely. But right, exactly. But he didn't really stay in the legal side. He became A&R, artist and repertoire.
Yeah.
And so that, that basically he just moved to that other side. So you can start off one way, and then an opportunity can happen.
Into where you want to be.
He didn't even want to be there. He wasn't even thinking about it. He was assigned to it. So we never know like what doors are open to us. Yeah. That we might even look and go like, what? And what is this? And then something inside of you tells you, just go for it.
Yeah.
And you just never know. You never know where you're going to end up.
So what I'm hearing is the importance of being disciplined and diligent no matter what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Because you never know.
You never know. You never know where it's going to take you.
All right, talk to me about Sesame Street. Like every time I look at the Muppets and the puppets, that my kids play with, I think Sesame Street, and then I think of Edna Bland. Aww. I should be thinking of Big Bird, but even that. Tell me about the relationship.
Great segue,
right?
Well, I was working at the Emmy Awards, and we were. Besides the awards ceremony, we would do different events for the members.
Yeah.
So there was another award show or presentation called the Silver Circle Awards for people who have been in television for 25 years or more.
Silver Circle. Yep.
Silver Circle. So this one particular year, it was Carol Spinney was one of the, I think it was like 10 people we induct each year. Mm. And so, and for those who don't know who Carol Spinney is, the late Carol Spinney, he passed away last year.
Okay. He
was Big Bird and Oscar, the original Big Bird, and Oscar the Grouch of Sesame Street. So, and speaking to him on the phone, he just sounded like Big Bird with a
deeper tone.
Deeper tone. That's it. Lower register. And so,
that's pretty cool.
I shared with him. We're doing business on the phone, and I shared with him this story. I said, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a kid on Sesame Street, not a puppeteer, okay? Wanted to be a kid on Sesame Street. In fact, I specifically wanted to be Gordon and Susan's child. Huh. They were the only black couple, yeah, right? They adopted a son named Miles. I wanted to be that daughter. Okay?
Yeah.
And lived in the 1-2-3 house and everything, right? Building. And so that was just, my mom knew it, all that kind of stuff. So one day in the mall, my mom takes me to meet Loretta Long. She's Dr. Loretta Long, who played Susan from Sesame Street.
Okay.
And I tell her, I want you to be my mom, my TV mom. And I just remember her just smiling. I just remember her bright, beautiful smile. And she just embraced me and hugged me. And I just felt warm all over. Yeah, you know.
Fuzzy.
And so, right, warm and fuzzy and everything like that. And I just never forgot that. I think I was like, 6 years old or so. I just never forgot that. So I tell Mr. Spinney the story, and he goes, do you want to come visit the set? I was like, wait, what? So he invites me to the Sesame Street set. And I walk in, and you see the lights and the cameras, but right in front of you is 1, 2, 3 steps. Over there is Mr. Hooper's store, Big Bird's nest. And I just regress back to like being 5, again. And he let me spend the day with him. I watched him shoot, and stuff. But what caught my eye was the puppeteers. And they're under things, and they're sliding under things, and they're rolling around. And I just said, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I fell in love with the art of puppetry. Like, from that moment. Love at first sight.
Yeah.
Literally love at first sight. I said, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I totally want to do this. Long story short, he says, if you're serious and you really want to do this, okay, you can come here anytime you want, as much as you want. And I did. And I sat there.
200%?
Huh?
You dove in again 200%?
Dove right in.
Yeah.
Dove right in. When they were shooting, if I could be in there. Now, I'm sitting in the corner in the back,
Right. But you're watching.
But I'm watching.
Yeah.
And then he would talk to me, and then we would go to lunch in the commissary, and then he would start pouring into me, and and teaching me and training me, and he was my mentor. He was absolutely my mentor.
What's that statement? They say like when the student is ready, the teacher will appear or something like that. And it's like you positioned yourself and you said, listen, like I want this.
Yes.
He tested you by saying, hey, if you're serious,
right.
Okay. And when you said you were serious, he started to pour.
Yes. Yep. He started to pour.
It's like people are around you right now wanting to pour into you, but they're paying attention to how and if you're ready.
Right. And how serious you really are about it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I never forget, he said to me, he goes, you are, I might get a little misty here.
It's all good.
He's like, you are a Black female puppeteer. Always be your authentic self. Never stray from it. And I never did. And I never did.
Why do you think he told you that? At that time?
Wow, great question. First of all, he was just an amazing teacher. But I guess because so many people can just, stray from being who they really are and try to conform, fit into other molds and stuff like that. So if you stay true to yourself and who you really are, then you can go far. Is
it the puppet or is it about you?
It was about me. Oh, definitely about me. It wasn't really about the puppetry. Yeah. It was totally about me.
So even when you are in character, is it about the puppet or is it about something that's coming out of you?
I'm still a teacher. A teacher is a calling. A true teacher is a calling. Yeah. And talking about speaking outside the box, there's many ways of being a teacher. My tool of teaching is puppetry. So yes, what's happening, of course I've been in situations when it's just entertainment, but I'm a teacher. I'm teaching you some kind of a truth, a parable. It could be a character trait, whatever it is, it's going to be a lesson. And to this day, that's the way that I do puppetry. There's going to be a lesson in it somehow.
So the puppetry still is the vehicle that allows you to get that lesson, the message across.
Because that's what people pay attention to. Think about it. If you're just standing there talking blah, 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 nobody cares about that. Right. Not really. Or, the attention span even of an adult
can get really slim.
Yeah. And especially because we all have phones now, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't hold someone's attention, they're going to pull out that phone and be gone. But somehow a puppet, even though it's this inanimate object, the magic of puppetry is that you're making this thing. You're not fooling the brain. They know it's not real.
Right.
But when you're a good puppeteer and you make it look like it's alive, you breathe.
Get lost into your story.
Right. We know we're breathing life into this character.
Yeah.
That's the magic, and that's what holds people. Once we got you, bam.
Yep. I love it. It's kind of like we're not even paying attention to you anymore. It's kind of to your hand, to the side, just doing that thing.
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter if it's a little kid or an adult. This is the cool part of the story, okay? Now, talking about getting into something 200%, I then joined the Puppetry Guild. It's called Puppetry Guild in New York City, became its vice president. That's how much I just wanted to do this so badly, okay? A door opened up because to audition to be Sesame Workshop or Henson Puppeteer are very, very rare. Okay, it's kind of like this door is open,
it's closed real quick.
And it closed real quick.
Yeah,
and you have to create a video and get accepted to these workshops and all this kind of stuff. Well, this door opened up, and I tried to knock down this door.
Yeah,
and I was like, but Carol Spinney was, my mentor.
Yeah,
but da-da-da-da-da-da. But look at me, I'm different, I'm rare, whatever. I could not knock down this door. But I wanted it so bad. I even
What did you do?
I got a hold of Kevin Clash, who played Elmo,
yeah.
at that time. He was the puppet coordinator, and I even got a hold of his home phone number, and I called him at home to like, dude, I want to do this so bad. Because I tell you, when you have this passion to do something, like I was willing, not to go too far, but I was willing to just, So I met him a couple of years later, and I told him his story, and he says, well, I'm sorry, he didn't answer the phone. And I chose to believe that it was the truth, But yeah, it was just the fact that I really wanted to go for it. And I was like, I was like, God, I was literally talking to God, like, I don't get this. I'm this close. I'm at this. Why can't I knock down this door? Mm-hmm. And I just felt God speaking to me saying, this gift I gave you was for me. Use it for me. And I totally started diving into puppetry and the creative arts ministry in my church. And I started having puppet teams, and we were doing competitions, and we were, doing street ministry and different other types of things, whatever. And I just totally turned it that way. Yeah. And then other doors from that
open,
kind of like when you kind of give it up
to him.
Yep.
Yep.
That he totally opened up other doors.
Submission.
And it became, and one of the, if I may share the story really quick, I almost thought it was like a joke, not a joke. Like I didn't take it seriously. Puppets in church, and we were out in Astoria Park, doing just a little mission thing going on, because I heard you say mission.
Yeah.
And I had a puppet, and it was just lip syncing to a song. Mm-hmm. And this woman comes up to me later, and she said, the puppet that you had remind me of a doll I had when I was a little girl. And while you were doing that song, I felt God was healing that hurting little girl inside of me. And I was like, okay, this is not a joke. What I'm doing is could change people. So I had to change even my mindset of what I was doing.
I'm getting chills.
And but then after that, I go to a certain event, long story short, and before I go in the event, I said, I'm going to use the restroom for starts. I walk in the restroom. In fact, it was in Madison Square Garden. I walk in the restroom, and who was there? But Loretta Long, Susan from Sesame Street. I call her by her real name, Loretta, instead of her stage name, which really got her attention. Long story short, we became friends. I started touring around with her, teaching reading literacy. We wrote a script together and stuff like that. And so the person who I wanted to be my TV mom as a child, I actually grew up working with as an adult.
The way you got to doing that was totally a different route.
Totally a different route.
And you changed lives. You were there when people needed you there.
Right.
Kind of like, I think oftentimes we forget that we were created for a reason. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, some people don't believe in God, and they just think like, we're just put out there to just figure things out on our own. But if we believe that He's created us, He had a purpose. He has meetings for us to attend. And you're being in that park at that time when that lady needed or had that nostalgic moment, going back to her childhood, because so much happens to us in our childhood.
Oh, yeah.
That defines how we live. Mm-hmm. So
big time.
It doesn't surprise me that she went back there. And puppetry, I think, takes us back there to our kid days,
Absolutely.
And like you mentioned, she was able to let go or to heal that wounded child.
Yeah. And I took the focus off of me and put it into serving others. And so when you serve others, then I believe that God is pleased and that He just opens other doors. It just happens.
Yeah.
It happens. And so even from that, like in any job that I had in the entertainment industry, no matter how it happened, was like, I went in, I did it with as much, passion that I could, and worked as hard as I could, and people watching, like you just said, and noticing. And it just took me like, so either the person said, hey, why don't you come with me to this other job? You know,
just like that.
And it moved over that way. Or it's like I worked at Chrysalis Records, and I was, last one hired, first one fired situation. I was in that situation, and because of my work ethic, and my passion, that the president's secretary, who was daughter-in-law of Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, her husband was working at this radio syndication company, got me my job there. So it's just, it is a who you know. It absolutely is. But you still have to prove yourself. You still have to work well. Because some people are like, well, because I know this one, that one, I can get that job.
Yeah.
It might work. Sure, that totally can happen. My current job was in that situation. It was because of somebody who knew somebody that I even got my current job. But I still went in there and I had to prove it. I didn't want to disappoint the person that helped me get there.
Yep.
But it's like, now that door was open,
you got to go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about, constantly auditioning and constantly, it's having that thing in mind of just putting your best forward.
Yeah.
Moving forward as much as you can. And I've had my moments of stopping, like everybody. When a new project pops in your head, what's the first thing we say? I don't have the time. I don't have the money.
All kinds of excuses,
where am I
all
get the
kinds
money?
of reasons. Yeah.
Where am I get the resources? Who's going to help me?
Yep.
And then sometimes you just gotta
go.
You gotta start. You gotta start somewhere.
Then doors start opening up here or there. I was riding bikes with my daughters the other day, and even though, we're riding in the evenings, it's like 5 o'clock, 5:30, so the sun is starting to go down. But as I'm riding around, my kids, they're laughing, they're talking, we're all on our bikes. Even when I'm talking to my kids out in public while we're riding, I'm still like, yes, ma'am, and they're calling daddy. I'm just like, yes, baby. And I'm speaking to them in a very nurturing manner, because the neighbors are outside and they're doing their things with their kids and they're paying attention. And in my mind, we're always on audition. You never know. So the other day I'm riding around, and this gentleman, I see him with his son doing something artsy. So I asked him, I said, hey, weren't you the guy that was looking for like a cat or something like that in the neighborhood? And he said, yeah, that was me. He's like, you own and he mentioned my business. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you know what? I'm working for this new company now. Give me your card. I want to pass it off to them. Mm-hmm. Just like that.
Yep.
You just never know where your next opportunity is going to come from.
Never know.
So it's important. It's important for us to always be prepared.
Yes.
Now, how do you prepare for something that you don't know? How do you prepare for the unknown?
You work on where you work where you are.
Yeah. Okay.
You work where you are, what you know at that moment. And you just, like I said, you keep moving forward, and you got to think outside your box. Critical thinking is so important and believe it or not, puppetry is part of that, of communication and critical thinking and collaboration. All of that, when I work with kids with puppetry, that's what I have in the back of my mind. I'm training them for those 21st century skills, we call them, for their future. Yeah. So it's like the critical thinking of sitting down and like, okay, how can I figure this out from getting here to there? Mm-hmm. Or who can I talk to? Mm-hmm. Not trying to get something out of them, but say, I need your advice.
Yeah.
That's
just keeping it wide open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need your advice on, this is what I'm thinking about.
What are your thoughts?
And I'm specifically aiming to a person that's in the industry, yet again, doing that thing that I want to do. Yeah. It's not just randomly. It's not like my BFF, because,
Right, yeah. You can get what you're going to get from there.
I've had people sit there and say, I went to Full Sail University. That's how I got to Central Florida. Got my master's in entertainment business. Mm-hmm. And I was, doing a lot of writing and producing at my school. And I just I'm a person of excellence, so I wanted to learn how to do things correctly. So I said, well, I think I want to go back and get a master's in writing. And I've had people sit there and say, no, don't do that.
You don't have to. Yeah.
You don't have to. You already have a master's. What do you want to do that again? Da-da-da. But I'm like, I really wanted to do this. And I was inspired by a specific song one day of where in the line was like, what are you waiting for? Time is slipping away was part of the lyrics in the song. And I knew, I said, you know what? forget everybody. I can't listen to anybody.
Yeah.
I need to go for it.
Yeah.
And when I just one simple phone call, they're like, we already got you, on file here. You're a professional educator, so we're knocking $3,000 off of that. You're coming back. We're knocking this amount. So I got like a huge discount, even in my tuition. And it's opened other doors for me too. But we gotta stop listening to we gotta listen to the right people, And we all know in our guts who the right people are.
I am happy. I'm happy with everything that you shared today, and I hope our listeners are also, because this and I'm reflecting on it, but this idea, and it's not just an idea, it's a truth about, again, excellence in what we do, always being prepared by focusing on what we're doing now.
Yes.
And just do it well.
To our best ability.
To our best ability, yeah. Trusting and believing that something will happen. And things do. They do. And you talked about the people that you listen to. Surround yourself with quality folks. People who are willing to push you as opposed to just, close down your idea. Sometimes you got to be courageous and brave to mention it. Like, say it out loud. Because there are people who are willing to help. People who have the resources you may not know. And a lot of times, you said it earlier, a lot of times we find when we have an idea, we're like, that's going to cost too much. That's going to be too hard. Yes. Just put it out there. Somebody will pick it up and run and take it, because I believe other people are waiting to fulfill their calling also, and sometimes it just takes you presenting yourself.
I still procrastinate on some things too.
Do.
We all do.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned before, I go back to that time on that bus where it's like, if I don't do that was my epiphany. If I don't do this, I'm gonna die. It's just like it's the core of my bone, the core of my being. So whatever it is, mine just happens to be the arts. It happened to be puppetry. Mm-hmm. That's the world in the service that God wants me to do.
Yeah.
But whatever it is that you do, like Martin Luther King taught us, right? Whatever, you're going to be a street sweeper, whatever you do, do it to the fullest. Yep. Do it to the best of your ability.
Yes.
And you just never know where it's going to take you.
I mean, that's a great way to end this segment for sure. Listen, if you don't do it, you're going to die. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, but it's something that really puts your back against the wall. Do it or there's death on the other end. That just gives you enough, the energy, the courage to just go out there and push and just get it done. I encourage each and every one of you who are listening, those who are watching us, do what you say you're going to do. Put aside all those naysayers. And this isn't one of those like us against the world, but find yourself in the right circle, the people who are going to encourage you, who are going to push you, and do it.
If I may say, it is a death. It's a death of a dream.
I got nothing else to say. Drop the mic. I'm out. Thank you for being here. Edna, thank you for sharing your thoughts. I mean, this is beautiful. This is what we're about here at the Clean Slate Experience. We're all about helping people to, fill in the gaps. We're helping them fill in the gaps of what it takes to get from where you are to where you want to be. Experience. You've shared a lot of it today. Experience is that connective tissue that takes us from questions to answers. And today, hope you learned a lot. Thank you again, Edna.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful time. Thank you, sir.